I hit the incorrect buttons. Okay, we out here. Oh fuck, hold on. I forgot to add in the additional source. Um, there we go. Hello everybody, welcome in, welcome in. How is everyone today? Hello. Hello. Yeah, so sorry about the slightly longer intro screen. I was having to run around a second ago. You know how it be. Why are you like this? Babe, why are you like this? Welcome in, Lotus. I will, yes, so which it's which, fuck. Which is which? There we go. This witch is which, yes. Hi, Bone Fox, welcome in, and I saw my wifey Elva is here too. And yes, you can get a hug from this witch. I will absolutely give you a hug, wifey. Especially since your debut is coming up soon. So double hugs, all of the hugs for good luck. You're gonna do amazing. But yeah, so welcome in everybody. So this is kind of like my take on a like Reddit ask me anything kind of thing. Yes, it is a chasset, if you will. I got it earlier today when I was prepping. I was like, you know, I want to add something a little like fun to the chat because I didn't have a chat asset for the screen. So yeah, I wanted to add that. But yeah, this is kind of like my take on a Reddit Ask Me Anything, but specifically about anything metaphysical and all of that, since I know some folks in the Astrolife kind of circle have had questions and stuff, but also since, you know, I don't know, I feel like it's just interesting to learn about this kind of stuff. So yeah, I figured we'll start with that. But couple things before we get started, because, you know, we are going to be talking a little bit about like the more metaphysical stuff, and some people are a little bit more susceptible, or they might have different viewpoints and stuff on this. This is going to be a very respectful space of all religions, sources of spirituality, of yes, we're going to get metaphysical in here. Religion, sources of spirituality, any belief system really, and I will not be touching on more closed practices. What do I mean by a closed practice? So in witchcraft, there are certain things, there's so many different types of practices. Hi, wifey, welcome. There's so many different types of practices, and most of them are kind of ancestral in origin. Yes, don't be a bitch. And so they have a lot of like cultural significance behind them. And so, one second, my tracking is driving me nuts right now on VTube Studio, so I'm gonna fix that really quickly. But I'm just gonna disappear briefly, and then I'm just gonna keep talking while I do it. So basically, what a closed practice is when you have one of those ancestral practices. Hi, Orphe, welcome. That is specifically coming from a culture or series of inheritance, things like that. So, good example, voodoo and hoodoo. Both of those are considered closed practices. And so I don't know anything about those, and as I am not from the cultures that historically practice voodoo and hoodoo, I should not partake in that because I don't have the cultural reference for it. The same thing can be said with certain practices that have to do with like folkloric elements or things around like Native American heritage, for instance, or indigenous practices. Those are all closed practice as well. So yeah, we're going to be going over many things today. Like I said, you can ask me anything. Gracie's not here, so... Oh, thanks, babe. I appreciate you. Yes. Gracie's not here, so I'm not going to answer her question while she's not here. But yeah, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to hit me with anything. If not, I can just start yammering on about my own practices and things I've encountered and stuff like that. But yeah, this is an open floor. I also have a pen in my hand because I need to do something with my hands. Otherwise, I'll start sticking things in my mouth, and we don't need that. All right, wait, now I have 2 questions at the very least. Okay. All right, Lotus, why don't you go ahead and start us off then? What's your question? And yes, I am just making faces at my camera right now. Oh, wait, what are you clipping? What? Oh. Oh, the thing about me sticking things in my mouth. I see. Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, what questions does anybody have? For context, there are many different types of witchcraft that are not in those. Yeah, okay. So actually, yeah, we'll continue since we started talking about closed practices. And this kind of falls in line with what I was saying anyway. So hoodoo and voodoo, yes, those are real things. And they have a long lineage, mainly stemming from African origins and like the slave trade in the Caribbean. They are actual things. Like I said, I don't know very much about them, mainly because, again, I am not from those cultures that would practice it, and it is a very closed practice. So what that means is those things are not taught outside of those cultures. Additionally, because people like to appropriate and like to touch things that aren't theirs, there is some information out there about like voodoo, but a lot of it is coming from the like white colonial mindset, and so we don't actually know, unless you're from like those backgrounds, we don't actually know how much of that is accurate, and a lot of it is used to like sensationalize. Thank you for the follow, darling. I know we've interacted a little bit on Twitter, so welcome in. Hoodoo is spelled Hoodoo. You spelled it right the first time, babe. No, hoodoo and voodoo are 2 different things. Hi, welcome. Oh yeah, I forgot to add, this chat asset tells me your pronouns, which is really helpful for me because I don't want to misgender anybody or anything like that. But yes, welcome in. So as I was saying, there are a lot of different types of practices. Most people you find that are witches have either a witch in their family already, and so they have some like ancestral and like the old-timey old wives' tale kind of stuff going on in their background, or they've kind of fallen into it through other things like Wicca, which is a religion. Witchcraft isn't necessarily a religion. Wicca, however, is, and employs elements of witchcraft. My practice is a bit of a combination of things. I am a medium, which also is not inherently like a witchcraft thing, but since I primarily work with spirits, but also I have a lot of bloodline ties to witchcraft, I'm a bit of what is known as a chaos witch or an eclectic witch, which is when you have kind of all these little bits and pieces that come from different types of witchcraft that kind of formulate your craft. Bloodline is very important. You don't want to fuck with ancestors that are not yours. You also don't want to fuck with practices that aren't yours, because you never know what can happen. I've never clicked something faster. Babe, please. Oh, thank you, yeah, I try to do like one of these types of streams a month, whether that's me reading tarot or talking about this stuff. I just think it's important to talk about. Yes, so second question, what is your opinion of the best representation of a witch in media, and what is the worst? Ooh, that is a difficult question. I think that's a little hard to answer. Yeah, Iris, yeah. I'll come back to your question in a second, darling. Iris just pointed out one of the things that happens when you dabble in closed practices that are not yours. Yeah, there was a white lady who called upon a voodoo god, I think it was Papa Legba specifically, to try and hex her ex with him. Yeah, she died mysteriously in her bathtub later. Like, they could not figure out the cause, and it was like a day later. So yeah, we don't fuck with things that don't belong to us. Oh wait, Shu, I never gave you your artist thing. Let me do that while I'm here talking. So, what was I gonna say? Yes, so I don't know about the best or the worst representation. I think in general the worst representations of witchcraft are... Ooh. Okay, well, I'll have to do it after Shu, I'm sorry, but I will do it. Yeah, there's an artist recognition thing. Hi, Foxy, welcome in. There's an artist thing on Twitch. Iris has the little icon, and since you are an official Astrolife artist, I wanted to add it for you too. My tracking is going buck wild again. I'm so sorry, guys. Yeah, to answer your question, I think for any instance where there is a lot of that idea that like witches are inherently like tied to Satanism, I think that is probably some of the worst representation. But a lot of it, I think it really just depends. Sorry, I'm back. Sorry, like I said, the tracking was driving me nuts. Because some witches do practice Satanism, but there is also a big difference between Satanism and worshiping the Christian Satan. They are not the same thing. A lot of people like to think they're the same thing, and they are not. But also, that type of witchcraft, the more like quote-unquote baneful witchcraft, actually does have a name. It's called the left-hand path. And a lot of times it's still not the way that it's portrayed in media. Like, most of the time you're not calling upon like demons and like trying to put blood curses on people and stuff like that in the name of Satan. Like, that's not happening. It's not. Then there was also the TikTok witches that tried to hex the moon. That's not a thing. In terms of the best, I think just any time that there's like a decent amount of research put behind it, like if someone's Wicca and they've actually like investigated, like whoever's writing the script or whatever knows what Wicca is and they actually portray Wicca, as opposed to like lumping witchcraft, Wicca, Satanism, and like worshipping of the Christian Satan all in one thing. Because again, not the same thing. Yeah, the TikTok witches once tried to hex the moon, which again is not a thing. But yeah. Anybody have any other like questions or things that they're interested in about this kind of stuff. Again, I can start prattling on about myself, and like the stuff that I do. I will say most people in general have some kind of connection to this stuff, because if you think about it, like the idea of like manifestation in and of itself is a form of magic, or like witchcraft, or you know, if you have that one like old wives' tale style like family cure-all solution, something like a specific like soup or something like that that's got like some out-of-the-box ingredients, that's technically would be like kitchen witchery and stuff like that. So yeah, Lotus, what's up? Jojo, welcome in, Jojo. How are you? Yay-men. And the people said yay-men. Yeah, so there are some pretty cool altars. That reminds me, I need to fix mine. I need to, oh God, he's gonna kick my ass. Anyway, well, it's been like 2 years, so he hasn't kicked my ass yet, so I think we're fine. I work with a deity, and so some of us do have like altars. Some of them are a little bit more non-traditional. Mine is a little bit more non-traditional at the moment because I don't have room for it where it's not gonna get attacked by cats. Because my childhood cat who passed away last year, Tashi, he wouldn't touch any of the like altar stuff, so I could have an altar. The kittens are little troublemakers and they don't know any better, so. Oh, that's cool, Foxy. That's awesome. Yeah, my altar is currently dismantled. Like, I have all of my stuff still. It's just put away in various places. The main, like, connection that I use for my deity is, 1, the crows, but also 2, because he's heavily associated with crows, I have a specific oracle deck I use for him. So I've heard some other witches that, like, you know, work with love and romance, and I'm not accusing you of putting me under a spell, because I love you either way. Lotus. But, like, is that something people would actually use? Yes. So, Iris and I actually went to college with someone whose little sister put a love spell on her, like, middle school boyfriend, and they ended up, like, even through all of their, like, toxic relationship stuff, they ended up getting married. I think they're still married. Yeah. It's a thing. Iris did not put you under a spell. Iris doesn't, like, Iris is an astrologer. I'm the witch. Yeah. I don't do love spells, mainly because anything that has to do with, like, human will is a little iffy for me, mainly because it can just, if you don't do it right, or you do things at a certain time, or you don't phrase things, like, it's very, like, finicky about how you do it, and so it can have a lot of unintended side effects. So for instance, there's a lot of people who have, yes, Iris, that is the person that supposedly put the love spell on their crush during, like, a super moon, and it did not work out for them. Yeah, so, like, for instance, there's quite a few people who have done, love spells with the intention of, like, attracting someone that's obsessed with them, and that's, like, their, like, that was used in, like, the phrasing or the terminology or anything like that, or something like that, or along the lines of, like, I want someone that's, like, always going to want to be with me and always going to be there for me, like, that kind of a thing, which the intention behind it is good, because you want a partner that's, like, wants to be with you and supportive and all of that, but the outcome was a stalker, which technically also fit all the parameters. No worries. Like I said, this is a space, so long as you come at it with like the intent to learn and to be respectful, that's totally fine. Like I said, totally a space for everybody to ask questions and just kind of learn a little bit more about this kind of stuff. Is manifestation purely a witch thing? So it's no. Okay. Manifestation is a little bit tricky overall, because it has, like, if you think about it, prayer, like you would for any of like the Abrahamic religions or anything like that, is manifestation. There is like chanting in Buddhism is also a form of manifestation. Like there's a lot of different types of manifestation across the board, so it's not a witchcraft thing. I mostly use it as a way, as an example, to kind of like show that like, hey, there isn't really too much of a difference between these things, between like, you know, what we're like, the idea of like going to church and praying for things versus like deity work or learning this kind of stuff. I will say with manifestation, in general, that is one of the things that also ties into the like psychic abilities. So there's different types of psychics. Like I said, I am a medium. Manifestation, essentially, if you have really strong manifestation powers, you more than likely have more of a connection to the other side of the veil, in one way or another. So you might be more attuned to like whatever forces you believe are at work in the universe, whether that is energy, whether that is whatever god you might believe in, or deity, or if you believe in magic, or the power of suggestion, like anything like that. Yes, Lotus, sometimes witchcraft can be very, very literal. And it can open you up to some stuff that, if you're not careful, can have effects on your life. Like I said, you know, you want to, you know, you might be intending to manifest or put a general attracting love spell out there and end up with a stalker or like a really toxic person in your life, that kind of a thing. No worries, Elva, please enjoy the lurk. Yeah. Manifestation is also not always conscious, like Iris said. Dreams can be manifestations in a way. So that's a thing too. A lot of us manifest in our sleep. Yeah, you might be saying it as a ha ha he he, but the energy don't care. Energy does not care about if you meant it as a joke or like as a, oh my god, wouldn't this be crazy if? It's just like, oh, bet. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just grabbing my grimoire in case I need to cross-reference something. Yeah, no worries, Lotus. Thank you for the questions you've asked so far. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what else to kind of talk about in the meantime. Oh, actually, yeah, this is probably like connected to a certain extent with what Foxy was saying. Also what we learned from Shu last time. Yeah, so like being open goes a very long way, I think, whether that is just being open to other people's experiences or like actually making the conscious decision to open yourself up to the influences of the energies and stuff like that. But with spiritual sensitivity, specifically, there's kind of like two main types, and most people will fall into either one of those two main types, or will essentially like not be super spiritually suggestive. Welcome in, Gracie. Raid Pog. Welcome. Hi everybody. Hello grandkids. How is everybody? Welcome in. For those of, oh, thank you for the follow, Bean Man. For those of you who don't know me, I am Gracie's Maybay. I am also a grandkid. I love Gracie so much. But I am also a witch, and so that's why we're doing this. I am also your resident chaos gremlin of a person. Lazy Soul, thank you for the follow. Ooh, shoo, that's a great question. Yes, I am the witch cousin. Otaku Dan, thank you for the follow. Thank y'all so much for joining the memories. I appreciate having you guys here. Yes, I did just note what you asked. I'm gonna write it down so I don't forget it. I know Gracie also had a question. I was waiting for her to be here so I could answer the question. So I am going to finish what I was saying, and then I'll go to Gracie's question and then Shu's question, because Shu's is going to require a little bit more in-depth. Oh, thank you, Bean Man. Yeah, you know, we alternate between straight vibes and straight chaos here. All right. So, most people, like I was saying, there are kind of really two types of spiritual sensitivity, and then there's quite a few people also fall under the category of not really having as much spiritual sensitivity, but they can still kind of like sense vibes, or, you know, like the whole idea of a vibe check, for instance, in a way is a type of spiritual sensitivity, because you're getting feedback from the person's energy. The two main types, if you think of it like a spectrum, are highly sensitive people and empaths. So there are, I know the term empath has been kind of ruined to a certain extent, but really it just means that you are very connected and very like easily affected by the energy around you. And then highly sensitive people usually lean closer to the empathic side. All the way on the other side would be like a narcissist, or someone who the only energy they are affected by is themselves. So Gracie had asked on Twitter if there were any if there's any like scent work you can do to ward off bad vibes, or like ghosties, spirits, demons, anything like that. So yes, there is. I think the most easily accessible way of doing it, because again, we don't want to go into closed practices or anything. There are like two different ways I would recommend doing it. The first one is like burning juniper berries, or like juniper the tree. It has very similar properties as burning white sage to kind of like clear out the energy. However, it's not a part of a closed practice. The other way I would suggest would be a simmer pot. And I really like simmer pots. I think they're really cute, especially during like the fall and winter. And essentially that kind of goes back to the idea that I was talking about earlier of, you know, we all have some kind of like thing that we got from our Mima, or like some older relative in our family that kind of has these ties to like ancestral like superstition and stuff like that, and simmer pots are one of those things. So essentially you just take a pot of water, you put whatever like herbs and spices you might want in them that like smell good to you. So like a lot of plants have connections to, they mean different things, they can do different things. So like cinnamon brings in austerity, for example. So like if you want to make a simmer pot that is going to bring in like good luck and good vibes, and give a little bit of protection and like health, I would do cinnamon, chamomile. I'd probably throw in like some orange or like a citrus or something like that. there's a bunch of different herbs and stuff you can, or like fruits, and you can throw in there. And essentially you fill the pot up, you put whatever you want in it that is going to be affecting the vibes that you want to put out, the vibes that you want to attract, or if you want to get rid of anything. You set your intention over it, which can literally be, I want to bring in good luck and I want all the bad vibes to go away. And you could say it to the pot, you could say it to yourself, you could meditate over it, you could be thinking about it while you're putting the pot together. There's so many different ways that you can do that, like setting your intention piece, and then you just pop that sucker on the back burner, you turn it on. And then like as it like boils, it will start to release that scent, which one, makes your house smell good, but two, is doing whatever intention you set, plus like the combination of the herbs and stuff like that. So yeah, like a common one in the fall is essentially like an apple spice or like cranberry spice themed one. And you'll see these things on TikTok and like Instagram and stuff like that as like a cute aesthetic thing to do, but they actually have properties to them to like ward off stuff or attract the good vibes or put out good health, things like that. Hopefully that answers your question, Gracie. I think we have an ad. I'm not sure. Let me just double check that real quick. I'm really bad at looking as to when I have ads running. I think there might be an ad running. I'm not sure. Okay, good. I'm glad, Gracie. And there's like, you can find the meanings of different like herbs and plants and stuff, like fruits, on the internet. Okay, cool. Ad break is on now. So yes, you can find all of that stuff on the internet. So that makes it a lot easier to just kind of like track down that information. But also, whenever you go to do something like that, please make sure that you are like making sure that, you know, the fumes or whatever are safe. We don't want anyone getting poisoning from ingesting something they shouldn't or anything like that. So familiars. Familiars are one of those topics that are, it kind of depends on who you ask and like what kind of practice you have. Yes, don't accidentally make mustard gas. Please, for the love of God, do not make mustard gas. But yes, so familiars. Familiars are, at their core, they are kind of like an extension of your energy, and a connection between you and, again, whatever you believe, whether that is energy controls everything, whether that's a deity or a god, or the singular god, whichever one you might believe in, or magic or the veil or anything like that. And a lot of times these familiars, we're kind of used to the idea of like, you summon a familiar. And that can be true, but it also can not be true. So what do I mean by that? A familiar can be a animal or creature that is in this plane of existence or in a different plane of existence. So sometimes you have non-human spirits, familiars, or whether that's an animal or a, like, I don't know, a water spirit, whatever, that is not on this plane. So they're only present in meditation. You're not able to physically touch them, but they are present with you whenever you do a working or acting as some kind of a spiritual guardian for you while you're asleep, that kind of a thing. For instance, Mama Mori, her familiar, because like I said, I come from a line of witches. She's not practicing because she didn't know about any of this stuff until I was like going through it. because she learned it all as, oh, these are weird quirks in our family, and not, oh, this is like actual fucking witchcraft. So Mama Mori has a familiar who is a cat. She thinks it's a black cat, she's not sure. But all her life, whenever she's had moments where her like intuition's been really high, or she's had like a really negative vibe check and had to like leave the room and stuff like that, she sees cats. And it's like one specific cat. It's a spiritual cat, and it will just kind of like appear, and it looks real to her, and just kind of like either get her out of there, or like she'll just kind of like have dreams about the cat if it's like she's trying to make a decision and she doesn't want to pick the wrong one. She'll have dreams about the cat, that kind of a thing. So that would be her familiar. My familiar has crossed into the other plane. I mentioned my cat earlier, Tashi. He was my familiar. And he was physically in this plane. So I had him since he was a kitten, and he was very spiritually connected to me. And like I said, he always kind of knew never to go near the altars. He would always kind of like guide me in the correct directions. Now he functions as a familiar on the other side. So similarly to like my mom's cat. So there's many different ways to get a familiar. Oftentimes it's just being open and either setting in the intention, or one will just come into your life whenever you need it. So for instance, there was one person who I was aware of when I was first kind of learning about all of this stuff, who she was, I forgot what it was she was doing. I think she was in an abusive relationship, and she had started to have all of these dreams about turtles. She'd never really cared for turtles or anything like that before then, but she was always kind of like wanting some kind of a sign, or like to know where to go with all of this stuff, like how she wanted to leave, all of this stuff. And she started having all of these dreams about turtles. And as she kind of got more into this practice, she would start seeing the turtle during like meditation and things like that, or like after arguments and stuff. And so she came to the realization that the turtle was her familiar. Yeah, so it's not always like how they talk about it in media of like, oh, I'm gonna summon a familiar. You do and you don't. Also, hola Yunlink, espero que estás bien. Lo siento que estaba hablando muchísimo en inglés, pero espero que todo está bien con usted. See, why I ask is I've just recently been squaring up with the creature that have followed me since I was a kid. Straight up was told to put a new mirror in another room because they were tired of blocking. See, that's the thing. That's the thing, is that some of these fuckers, I say that with all due respect, are sassy. They're very sassy. Yeah, no, it's entirely possible that is a spirit that, or human or not, that is connected to you. I make jokes you might have seen on Twitter about my house ghost, who hides my birth control. Yeah. Some of them will do stuff like that. But odds are, if it's been following you since you were a kid, you have some kind of connection to it. So it might be worth to explore it. Whether that is they are some kind of spiritual guardian, or maybe they just attached themselves to you and now you just have a friend on the other side. Haha. Disney, don't copyright me. Or it could be an ancestor, or honestly, you could just have a weird ass roommate. It'd be like that. Yeah, I have a house ghost that likes to hide my birth control. Thank you for the sub, you know, darling. Thank you, thank you. as always, subs are always really appreciated, but they are not required. We do have some sub goals going on with rewards and everything. But yeah. I'm saying, House Ghost, please. Oh, I'm glad this is refreshing. Like I said, I like to try and do these types of streams once a month, to just, like, I don't know, talk about this stuff, but also if anybody wants a tarot reading or anything like that, it's always fun for me to do.
Boom, baby!
You know, darling. Oh gosh, thank you so much. Thank you. That's so sweet of you. If you are in chat and received a sub from Yuno, please give them a thank you and a shout out, because that is awesome. Thank you so much, Yuno. And we are getting closer and closer to our first sub goal. Oh, really? Triple Scorpio. I'm also a Scorpio. Yes, of course. Yeah, I just, like I said, I wanted it, since it's such a big part of me and like who I am, but there's also like so much misinformation out there and like misconceptions. I just want to make it so that people can have the opportunity to learn a little bit and have a space to ask questions and explore the idea of spirituality, because it's not as black and white as people like to make it. But also there's so many things out there that are really confusing. But yes, does anybody have any other questions? Hopefully I'm answering everything in a way that is informative, but also not like too much, and like may get to the fucking point. Because I can kind of like rattle on sometimes. Yes, Foxy. So, yes and no. Your zodiac sign will not determine, especially like your sun sign, will not determine how like spiritually open or sensitive you might be, but there are some signs and combinations that are just like inherently more sensitive to it, because of the element that they're associated with. So, for instance, earth signs, if you have a lot of earth in your chart, so a lot of Taurus, a lot of Capricorn or Virgo, you probably won't be super spiritually sensitive, just because earth is very grounded and it's very centered in this plane. But if you have a lot of water sign placements, so that would be Cancer, Pisces, or Scorpio, you are more likely to be spiritually sensitive, especially if you're a Scorpio. Because we are born in the like section of rebirth, of death and rebirth in the zodiac, and depending on what you believe, that section of the year is more connected to the idea of like the veil being thinner, and so theoretically you would be a little bit more susceptible, or like more likely to have connections to this kind of stuff. For me, I was born very close to when the veil is thinnest, and my zodiac chart is essentially all water and air. A lot of it being Scorpio, so I'm in it. I'm in this shit. But yeah, it can affect things, but it also, like I said, if just because you're a Taurus does not mean that you are not spiritually sensitive. Honestly, I feel like earth signs are the most spiritually sensitive to like vibe checks, and I admire that greatly. So Libra, like I said, Libra is an air sign. Iris is our resident astrologer. So she'll be able to correct me if I'm wrong. But I mean, air signs I feel like are very connected to almost like the manifestation aspect of like spirituality and things like that, just because I feel like there is so much connection to the world and knowledge and energy as an air sign. And especially as a Libra too, you're right around when the veil is thinnest as well. So I think it makes sense. Again, too, I think some of it is also upbringing. Yeah, Shu. Shu, yeah, Iris is also a big airhead that just goes on astral projection adventures. I don't fuck with the astral. If I can avoid it. The Hat Man owes me money, so I forgot what I was saying before I got distracted by astral projecting. Yeah, I forgot. It left me. It left me. I got nothing. Fucking Hat Man, truly. No, I just tell my funny roommate when I'm ready to wake up and it works every time. That's wild. That is so wild. Damn, Shu, you really do have like a fun little roommate. Water and intuition. Ah, yeah. I'm gonna have to think about that for a second to see if I could find the thread of thought I had. The hard part is I just want to listen to you teach me about this stuff, but I can't think of specific questions. That's okay. If you have like a topic, that'll work too. Like I said, I'm more than happy to just like talk about this stuff because I find it super interesting, and I've been researching it longer than I've been practicing it. So I have kind of, I think, both perspectives of like the theoretical and the practical. I'm also trying to think of topics myself to kind of go over. All knowledge is worth having, so absorbing information is just as important as having questions. It's true. It's very true. Both, like in all aspects of life, honestly. Yeah, I mean, as much as this is like a space that I am encouraging everyone to ask questions in, and like kind of talk about stuff as it kind of comes up, it's also totally fine to just kind of like sit back and like think and process over it, because it is a lot of information, and some of this stuff might be the first time you've heard of it. Sometimes it might be the first time you've heard of it from this perspective. It just depends. I only remember manifesting Shu's workday to go well, and I ended up deleting 2-3. I remember that! I remember that. Also, when Foxy says deleting, I think they just like canceled or went out of town or something. But still. Ooh, Gracie, are there any witchy routines for de-stressing? I always recommend meditation. And the important thing with that is meditation that works for you. I've found that like a lot of times there's this idea of meditation as like you sit there and your mind is totally blank and you're there for like 3 or 4 hours. For me, I feel like that's one type of meditation. I find meditation is really more like a series of rituals that you do to kind of like help your brain disconnect from the theoretical and reconnect to the physical. So for me, my meditation, for instance, is I have like a specific playlist that I'll play of just like some of the songs that like help me relax. And I'll just sit there and I will just like shuffle my tarot cards and just kind of like think about my day. For some people, like Mama Mori, her form of meditation is baking, where she can just kind of like take a step back from whatever is going on and focus on putting all of the pieces of her like baked good that she's making together as she's kind of processing through whatever she's doing. So meditation can take a lot of forms. You also really do not have to have the like totally clear mind, like Zen thing. Some people do. Some people, they don't, and they're focused on a chant. Like in Buddhism, I have a cousin who's Buddhist, and we've talked a lot about meditation. In Buddhism, there are certain chants that you do to manifest certain things or bring about certain clarity. And the process of focusing on that chant and saying it over and over and over again can be a form of meditation as well. So I feel like finding whatever works for you as a meditative process and then using that in those moments of high stress. And really just kind of like building up that routine of like, okay, I'm really stressed out. Let me meditate. Let me go into that flow state. Some folks also use journaling as a form of meditation. And journaling is also super powerful in terms of the like manifestation aspect because you're writing things down. But yeah, that would be my recommendation. But going back to herbology, that can also help too. So like if you wanted to do a simmer pot that was specifically around relaxation, there are certain like baths that you can take with like different herbs and stuff mixed in that promote relaxation. There are also little I call them spell bags, but they have like different names. But essentially, what there are some things that you can do to like essentially put like a bunch of little like herbs and like things that smell nice into like one of those little mesh bags and stick it in your pillow. And that will kind of help you depending on like what herbs and stuff you put in. Yeah, automatic drawing is another really good one, you know. Awesome. Okay, back to let me jump back up to Lotus's question. We'll bring my background into this maybe. What about any possible relationships between witchcraft and like Native Indian tribes? I feel like they have some practices that may be similar, inspired by each other, but most natives I know are not big on witchcraft. Okay, actually, that's a really, really good question. I mentioned earlier white sage is a part of a closed practice. That's actually a native practice. So again, that depends on your definition of witch and like witchcraft. Because again, a lot of this stuff when it comes to spirituality comes from cultures and ethnic practices and things that you learn from your family. So all of the different native tribes around the world, so whether that is like Aboriginal Australian or Maori to Cherokee or Choctaw, like there are so many different native tribes. All of them have some form of like ritual practice that does certain things. What I was trying to say. Yeah, so it does certain things. For instance, white sage is the example. I don't remember those specifics, but there is a good portion. I know Cherokee is one of them, which is the bit of native that I have that connects me through my great grandma. Uses white sage as a means to kind of push away that negative energy, whether it's spirits, whether it's the concept of like the evil eye or someone's like put something on you, anything like that. There are a lot of different practices within each culture, because each culture is beautifully unique. And so I think it would really depend on kind of what you know about your own heritage, and like how you start to connect yourself to it. But yeah, there is a really strong connection between pretty much any ethnic group and the concept of spirituality that oftentimes gets labeled as witchcraft. Because I mean, if you think about it historically, pretty much any type of paganism or connection with the earth and like the rituals around it was labeled as quote unquote witchcraft in the negative sense. The stories about my great grandmother burning stuff always made me wonder. Yep, that's where I get it too, Hishu. It's that Cherokee. And like, speaking on burning stuff, in general, the act of burning things is a means of letting go and like pushing away negativity. So there's a lot of spells and workings that you can do that aren't close practice, that involve the idea of burning something, especially if it's like something that you've been holding on to for a really long time. So, you know, for instance, one of the workings that you can do is really simple. If you have something that's been really like causing you anxiety and you've been like trying your best to let go of it because you know it's out of your control or whatever, and you just haven't been able to, write it down on a piece of paper, to like straight up just write it down. Think about it as you're writing it, like set that intention of, I want to let this go. I want this out of my life. I don't want to have to worry about it, whatever the case may be. Step outside your home or wherever you are. If it's a dorm, doesn't matter. Just go outside, set that puppy on fire. And like, as you are watching it burn, think about the fact that you want that to go. And like kind of visualize the idea of the ashes kind of scattering to the wind. Yes, so your given name can have some very strong significance. It really depends. So for instance, I am named after quite a few of my ancestors, and all of those women have stuck around. So for instance, I know the name, I share my name with my great grandmother, and I actually, even though she passed before I was born, I know the sound of her voice because she's stuck around. And because, again, medium. So there are certain things like, I would look into the story behind your name to kind of learn a little bit more about whether or not there is a little bit of a connection with what you're experiencing. Especially if it's like a very particular name. And if there's any connection. So like, for instance, I'm trying to think of like a good example. So like, if you have an animal name, for instance, oh shoot. So like, if you have an animal name, for instance, like it's sparrow, right? Like the bird, and you're constantly seeing like sparrows places, that might be, it might be trying to tell you something. Shoe. Not me calling shoe out. Yeah. And sometimes it can be something else too. So for instance, I mentioned the deity that I work with is very connected to crows and ravens. And my whole life, even though my name has nothing to do with either of those things, but my whole life, I've been kind of like watched over by crows and ravens, and had a connection with them to a certain extent. I won't go into the details and all of that, but you know, so then as I was starting to look into this stuff more and more, I realized, oh, that's why there's a connection. Maybe this is a like area that I need to be following to understand a little bit more about this kind of stuff. So it can lead to realizations. See, I grew up hanging out with a tribe that was not big on like what I thought at the time was witchcraft, but they had their own practices that I'm now learning of very similar practices. Yeah. So for a lot of people, like I said, the idea of like witchcraft can be very specific, but the reality of it is like we use the term witchcraft as a means of describing any system of belief that, or like connection to energy that is not encompassed by pagan, any of the main like Abrahamic religions, or like a more mainstream concept. So it's kind of a catch-all, but in reality, it's just a different form of spiritualism. Because I mean, if you think about it, if you break down the steps between Catholic communion and like a quote-unquote witchcraft ritual, they're the same steps. Shu was panicked messaging me right now. I am so sorry, Shu, if I gave you a crisis. I promise. I see that you're messaging me, and I promise I will respond to them after the stream. I promise. Also, if you haven't hydrated in a bit or stretched, please do. I am currently stretching. Oh, okay, cool. I just saw your name like pop up 4 times, and I was like, let me make sure that Shu knows I saw. Anybody have any questions? I don't know where that voice came from, but it did come from somewhere. Hopefully this is also very relaxing. I wanted this to be like, I don't know, something that was informative and like a space to interact, but also just kind of like a space to chill. Good, I'm glad. A cross between angel voice and southern accent? Oh, yeah, the voice I made? Yeah. A horrific, unholy amalgamation of those two things. Let's see, what to talk about. Let me consult. Let me consult the... Ooh. Can some people actually see their deities like in the same room as them, or does that differ from person to person? Great question. Great question, Foxy. It differs from person to person, and the connection that you have with the deity. I will say, even as a medium, I can be a little bit skeptical of when people say that they like can see the deity in the same room as them, but at the same time I do understand that the idea of like seeing varies from person to person. You know, sometimes the seeing is actually like seeing their energy, And I think that makes a lot of sense, like when you think of it that way. So for me, for instance, my interaction with my deity, a lot of it comes from the ravens and the crows that I interact with. I also typically I have a specific oracle deck for him. And my like visual interaction I have had with him has predominantly been through like meditation, like specific meditation designed to like have that opportunity to commune with your deity. But even then, I have not seen like a physical form necessarily. But again, that does depend from person to person. I have aphantasia, so when I close my eyes, I can't really visualize anything. So that might be why I haven't like seen a visual necessarily. But I know a lot of people have experiences with their deities in the astral, and they can like see the deity in the astral. So it really just depends. I do think for most people that work with a deity or their ancestors, or anything like that, and this can extend to like working with angels or the fae or anything like that as well. It's more the energetic presence than it is the like physical form, if that makes sense. Okay, so kind of to go back to like earlier how you mentioned witches sometimes being portrayed as satanic, is there any amount of realism to like actual summoning in witchcraft? Like how often there's often portrayals of ritual summoning demons, ghosts? Yes, so there is. Like I said before, there's many different types of witchcraft. And the practices vary. So some forms of witchcraft do a lot of summoning. In that kind of sense, like the way that people traditionally think of it in media, of like, I know the name of this thing that I am here to summon, and I am summoning this specific creature for this specific purpose, that kind of a thing. And that can be done in a few different ways. That can be like, I am summoning this thing to assist me in this specific working. Or it can be, I am summoning this thing to bind it to myself as a familiar or something like that. It really just depends. I will say the most frequent way that that comes about is a little bit different than kind of like how media portrays it. So witches often have some sort of a sacred space or a space that they have set aside that has been cleansed, and there's like specific rituals for setting up a casting circle and things like that. That varies from person to person and the type of witchcraft that they do, how their practices, things like that. But oftentimes people will call on their spiritual guardian or their deity or ancestors or some other form of spirit to aid in their working, to kind of lend it energy. So think of it very similarly to how like people will pray to God or like an Abrahamic God, for instance, to ask for assistance, or like, please God, give me energy to do this thing, or give me patience, that kind of a thing. Exact same principle. So for instance, even when I'm doing my get the fuck out cleansing of my house, sometimes I will invoke the name of my deity in asking for him to continue to aid in the protection of my home and to help my energy be strong enough to maintain the wards over my home. So it is kind of like a form of summoning, but it is at the same time very different than like I am drawing out a summoning circle. However, like I said, in certain branches of like different practices and things like that, people do like draw out a summoning circle or conduct seances in order to like summon a specific ghost to talk to, that kind of a thing. I probably could do that and talk to more spirits, but I also just go outside and talk to them. So or, you know, I have my house ghost. I have enough contact with spirits that I feel like I don't need to be summoning any specific spirits. But yeah, no, it can happen. Speaking of spirits, spirits are actually a big part of my practice in terms of the reason why I started like investigating this stuff, because after a certain point when you see people that aren't there, you're like, maybe I need to look into this. But that being said, spirit work in and of itself, or working with any kind of non-human entity like demons or like the Fae or a water spirit, or there's a lot of variants. All of those things do require a certain amount of patience, but also a certain amount of warding. So please do not go out and just be like, spirits, I want to talk to you. Or like just like open yourself up willy-nilly. Just like how with people, you don't just like go spilling your deepest, darkest secrets to anybody, right? Same thing. Let's not open yourself up too much. But if you do decide you want to do like open yourself up and learn or commune with spirits or anything of that sort, please do make sure you're taking protection and precaution. So don't give anything your name. Don't just accept everything at face value. And if you can, please make sure that you've like cleansed or done some sort of protection ritual, whether that is, you know, you believe in the Christian God and you want to wear a crucifix and ask for protection that way, or if you have like a specific ritual chant or anything like that, whatever it may be, just be careful. Shoo, I know that feel too well. I know that feeling way too well. The amount of times I've had to ask my, like, whether it's my house ghost or one of my ancestors or whatever, to shut the fuck up at 2 a.m. So are ghosts chill about people just summoning them and being like, I just want to talk, or you have a good reason? I think it depends. It depends on the spirit. I'm assuming since you said ghosts, you mean like a human spirit. It depends. So it's a little bit complicated. Not everybody crosses over. So some of the working I do is like the work that a death witch does, which is helping people cross over. But like I said, some people don't recognize, like, you know, in media, there's always that depiction of like the reason why a ghost is haunting is like they got stuck, whether that's they have unfinished business, or they don't know they're dead, or something stronger than them is keeping them there. So those are complicating factors. And those do happen. Sometimes it's just they made the conscious, deliberate decision to be like, nope, I am gonna hang out here, and that's fine, you know? If you're calling on a spirit that has crossed over, I think it depends on the person and the reason why you're summoning them. So, you know, if for instance you're summoning somebody that like you don't have any connection to, they might be like, bro, what? But at the same time, you know, if you're kind of calling on, say, like a grandmother that you were close to that passed away, she might have a different reaction. But like Iris said, there are a lot of trickster spirits out there, so again, be careful. Ghosts, because you don't know the difference. So there is a difference. Ghosts specifically means like people who have passed away. There's like general spirits, like nature spirits. There is also the element spirit. There is non-human spirits, which encompasses everything from Bing, Bing bong. Welcome in, Helios. Welcome in, little brother. Yes, so non-human spirits would encompass everything from like demons to fae to fuck, I don't know. Astral things, you know, stuff like that. And then there's deities. For instance, non-human spirits would also possibly be like an angel or something like that. Anything that has not existed in human form. Haha. I had to think about that one for a second, how I wanted to explain that. But yes, welcome in, Helios. Hope you're doing well. This music is really relaxing. Angels and demons. Ooh, okay. So, that one's a complicated one. I'm sorry, Iris. I promise I'm gonna answer that question. I read what Lotus wrote about I was able to confirm my love for May is natural, and it just it just broke me for a second. No, darling, I did not put a spell on you. I might have manifested you, but I didn't put a spell on you. The slaying goes well, Helios. The slaying goes well. If you have any questions, I can answer. Yeah, angels and demons and like people's perceptions of them versus how they actually operate. So, like I said, that's a complicated one. I personally have not worked with angels or demons, so I cannot speak to that side of things. And the opinion is pretty split in those aspects. And I do think to a certain extent it does depend on, one, your cultural background, and two, just like your opinion of things being a little bit more morally gray. And the only reason I say morally gray is because like the idea of a demon and an angel is kind of loose. To a certain extent, they are the same thing. They're the same side. They're like different sides of the same coin, right? So someone's angel might be a demon. Someone's demon might be their angel. That kind of a thing. Coming from my Italian heritage, for instance, there is a lot of working with like angels that can happen in like Italian folklore magic, or Italian ancestral magic, and a lot of the practices that you learn around like Italian superstitions have to do with that. In terms of just like angels and demons in general, I do think there is like I said, there is a lot of split opinion around them. For me, I feel like how they operate it can be very similar. But I will say to the demons specifically, the That makes it sound like I am addressing the demons. To the demons, no. But like on the topic of demons, I do think that a lot of things get assigned to being demonic when they might not be. And the idea of demonic being inherently like our idea of demonic as a society that is very grounded in white colonialism and like Christianity is inherently extremely negative and like connected to the idea of the Christian Satan, right? Which then complicates and distorts our view of what a demon might actually be, because oftentimes, for instance, something unexplained happens and we go, that's a demon, or like that's demonic or whatever, right? That is not necessarily the case. It could have been a water spirit just fucking with your pipes. Or, you know, it could have been, it does always come back to the fucking white man, it's true. Or, you know, oftentimes, I mean, even in terms of like religions, oftentimes people will look at other people's religion and spiritual beliefs and go, that's demonic. No, it's not. It's just different than what you believe. Trickster spirits, for instance, are a very good example. A trickster spirit is a category of spirit that is just out here being a trickster. So that can be anything from I am just playing a silly goofy little prank on you to I am attempting to like possess you, right? Could be anything in between. So that getting labeled as demonic when it's like the spirit is just taking my birth control and hiding it throughout the house, you know, that's not, I wouldn't consider that demonic. But again, oftentimes people will assign it that. That being said, there are things that are darker, non-human spirits, sometimes human spirits that have turned into something non-human over time, that they function in the way that we talk about demons. Whether that is like that idea of like possession or taking like control of someone or causing harm or things like that. I have had my own encounters with these darker things, but I hesitate to call anything a demon just because, again, I don't know. Same thing with angels. Like, you know, Darling brings up a great point, is that people think angels are really sweet and cute, but we have angels that are angels of war and angels that are like executioners. So it's a very, very gray area. Yes, fairies do also like to hide things. I don't fuck with the fae because I know the fae can do some things, and I have a very healthy respect for them. I am very wary of the fae. And again, it's a healthy respect. Some people work with the fae and they have more of a like functional relationship with them. I consider that a cultural thing. And so I'm like, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. Yes, Helios, I do have, okay, so my house spirit, I have not been able to figure out if it's a spirit that came with the house or it's a spirit that's attached to my mother. Either way, there's the spirit that lives in our house that is sometimes very helpful. Like, for instance, it once threw, what was it? Oh, it was the container of bay leaves. I was looking for the bay leaves in the spice cabinet and I couldn't find it. And I went across the kitchen to go see if maybe like someone had left it on one of the other counters or something like that. And because I had been looking for the bay leaves for 5 minutes, the house spirit was like, here you fucking go, and threw them at my head. So sometimes it's helpful. It was trying to be helpful anyway. But yeah, for some reason it likes to take my birth control and hide it in random places. I've found my birth control under my PC. I have found my birth control shoved in a cup that usually contains writing implements. I have found my birth control behind a picture. So, yeah. They said I had enough, take your fucking leaves. It's true. It's true. Yeah. I will also say angels, or like the concept of angel, going back to that really quickly since I saw Shu's comment, you know, oftentimes for people, they also just show up at those moments of crossroads. And there is a lot of questioning as to whether or not, like when you're dying, if the person that you see is an angel, or if it's a loved one, or if it's your deity that you believe in, or any number of things. So there's just a lot of ambiguity around these things. But for some people, it's angels. Although, again, I do really, really wish my house ghost would stop hiding my birth control. I had to go looking because I had to change, I had a new pack and I could not find the pack. And so I went and I had to look through like 3 different rooms until I found the pack, and I was upset. Lotus. Babe. Lotus, please. I feel like the blush is very appropriate right now. Foxy, I had said I really wished that the house ghost would stop hiding my birth control, and Lotus said me too. As in, he also wishes that the house ghost would stop hiding my birth control. Yeah. Yes, but listen, I am crazy enough without hormonal imbalances. I would like to have my birth control. She was like, I know what was on your mind, sir. I know. I mean, that does open up the conversation about sex magic, because that's a thing. Yeah, listen, I would rather not be like dying on the floor anytime I have cramps. So, yeah. Helios, I'm not gonna talk about it. I'm not gonna talk about it. Don't worry. I saw the opportunity to take the joke, and I did. It is insane. No, it is actually. There's a lot that goes into it, and it's very powerful. Lotus, that is not, you did not need to say that here. That makes it sound like I was, oh no. See, I think Lotus needs to go in the cage. I don't think it's me that needs to go in the cage, which reminds me, I needed to get a cage asset. I was going to, and then I forgot. Get me my sledgehammer. See, all I did was make a joke. I just made a joke. It's purely educational. Sure it is, buddy. Sure it is. Alright, I'm making a note to myself to get a cage. I did start the stream talking about, oh no, okay, I did not. I said I have a pen so that I don't like have the urge to put things in my mouth. There's a difference. A mimir emote. I do have a list of emotes that I have to get, so yeah, no, Iris sent me a cage. I just forgot to put it in VTube Studio. Yeah, my bad. Y'all both need to spin the wheel. Do you really want me to spin the wheel? I didn't do anything. I just made a joke about sex magic. That's it. He's the one over here being like, yeah, I need your house ghost to stop hiding your birth control. Like, bro. I like how y'all as a couple both have a habit of putting your foot in your mouth. Yeah, we're dumb. Foxy, don't. Foxy, if you really want me to talk about it, I will, but I would not recommend doing that research on your own. Because, again, with any type of working, you have to be very intentional. And, again, like, there are... Yeah. Lotus. Y'all, get you a man that is like him. I love you too, babe. Foxy does need to go in the cage. Foxy's intentionally like, how do I do this? But yeah, no, I'm not getting into that. All I'm gonna say is be careful. No, Foxy, another person does not need to be involved. Yeah, what Iris said in chat. I was just gonna say, just be careful what you think about as you are reaching a climax, and be careful of if you are a person with a uterus, be careful of that time of the month. Helios, see, the thing is, himbos may be easy to find, but a good himbo is harder to find. But yes, anyways. Yes, it is very binding. That's also why I'm like, I'm not gonna talk about this on stream. I think Foxy needs the cage. Oh, thank you for the hydrate, Shu. I actually just hydrated. Yeah, exactly. Foxy needs the cage. But yeah, I would also argue just in general, like, finding a good cis man is difficult, but that's besides the point. Let's see. Does anybody have any other questions about anything at all? Hopefully not having to do with my hormones. Linsnom! Oh! Well, I hope that you are able to fall asleep. I feel like this has been a very relaxing stream so far, so hopefully it's going to be like a very good method of falling asleep here. Yes, good himbos are a dying breed, it's true. Foxy. Yeah, of course, Linsno. Thank you again for stopping in. Ooh. these are two fun ones. I had more curiosity about ghosts and common mythic or cryptid creatures and that connection. Ooh, that's a good one. And something you've manifested through spell work, if anything. Okay, both of these are very interesting. I feel like, Iris, question. When you say through spell work, do you mean specifically like I did a working or just like regular manifestation? Let me get that clarification first, and then I'll decide the order in which to approach these topics. Because if it's like general manifestation, then I have an answer. But if it's a working, then I don't. I gotta think about that a little bit more. Okay, a working. Okay, I think the last thing I manifested out of a working specifically probably was, I did a cord cutting, or not a cord cutting, I did a return to sender. That seems to have worked out quite well. It was a rather powerful return to sender, and I hope they are having a great time with that. And other type of manifestation, the last thing I manifested, this is gonna... Okay, you can't make fun of me. You cannot make fun of me, okay? Have we come to this agreement that I will not be made fun of in my own chat about this? Okay. Technically... Iris already knows what I'm about to say. Technically, I manifested my current relationship. I don't have my journal with me, like my manifestation journal, because I do have one of those. And yeah. Do with that what you will. Anyway. Huh? The huh is killing me. I didn't cast a spell. No, those are two different things. Those are two different things. Also, it was general. It was not specifically about him. No, go into more detail. I'm actually curious. Well, okay. So I manifested. I did a specific type of manifestation, where you kind of write down the things that you want in a partner. And it just kind of makes you think about it a little bit. And yeah. Shortly thereafter of doing that, you're so cute. Shortly after doing that, I met Lotus and we got to know each other more. And I started to have feelings. But at the same time, like I said before, I'm a very firm believer in not doing like spell work around love and most things that have to do with like human will, free will. And so I wrote it as general of like, you know, I will be in a relationship with someone that loves me for me and supports me and I can be my whole self with. And that was on January 1st. And by like January 4th, we were together. So The original manifestation was before the princess search, yeah. I'm like actually blushing IRL right now. I've been put on the spot. Iris, you did that to me on purpose. You knew damn well what my most recent manifestation was. Let me scroll back up to get Shu's question. Helio, shut the fuck up. You did ask for a spell first. That's true. You did. You did. I'm blushing. Oh no. Also the fact that literally because New Year's came about and that's when I started thinking about those feelings, thinking those feelings were real, so like that timeline checks out. I love you too, Lotus. Okay. Scripting? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean, Foxy? Let me see if I can get this blush under control. Do you mean like dream shifting? Like that kind of a thing? Also, Shu, I did not forget about your question. Mothman! I love Mothman. I believe Mothman is real. I do have a theory. I don't know if it's, I don't know if it's a hot take or not. My theory is that, a lot of the, like, cryptids and, like, folklore creatures and stuff like that that we know of are some form of, like, spirit or something like that. Especially when you consider that, like, a lot of them have grounds in that aspect. So for instance, going back to, like, Native American folklore, again, I'm using it as an example because it's kind of what I'm more familiar with. I'm also not going to say the names specifically, and it's not, I'm going to use different names. I am aware of what the names are. I am not invoking that into my life. And so I'm going to be using different names. And it's not a lack of respect. It is purely I'm not invoking that into my life. I am not, these things know things. But the, it starts with a W, and then there's the other one is a walker, right? Those two things are, they have like different, I don't want to call it mythos because it's not mythos, but they have different kind of stories around them, right? And around how they manifest and things like that. But most commonly they are referred to as a type of spirit, right? Like, and so I do feel like there is probably a very strong connection. Yeah, no, Shu gets it. I'm like, I know I don't live anywhere near their normal locations, but I'm not doing it. You know, they're usually associated with a type of spirit. Additionally, you know, in for instance, Appalachian folklore, there is a lot of stuff around like different types of things that live in the woods. Most commonly, if you live in and around Appalachia, if you heard something in the woods in the middle of the night, no, you did not. No, you did not. You did not hear or see anything. No. And I think, again, that is also, like, tied specifically to spirits. What type, I could not tell you, as I've not had too much encounter, and also as someone who was raised in and around Appalachian folklore, no. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. Yeah, exactly, Shu. Exactly. You heard your name? No, you didn't. No, you did not. You heard knocking? No, you did not. You saw a deer that wasn't quite a deer? No. No, you did not. Shout out to that one pristine, Iris and I were driving and we had crossed into a section of my state that is getting close to Appalachia. It's like the very outskirts of Appalachia. And the fact that we were driving and there was woods and there was a pristine white like set of drawers, like a dresser in the middle of the woods. Yeah. No. Anyway. Yes. Foxy, what you're talking about is connected to astral projection and lucid dreaming. I do think that there is something to be said about, you know, how dreams can affect reality and can affect our perception of reality. I do think there is a lot... Oh wait, Foxy went to go get water. Hold on. Let me wait until Foxy gets back. Yes, I agree. There was probably a pocket dimension in those drawers because, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It was terrifying too. Like, it was just there. And it was white, like pure white. Not a speck of dirt on it. Ooh, stretch. Do, 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 do. Yeah, Appalachia is so interesting to me. Appalachian folklore is so fascinating. Let's see. Yeah, I'm with Shu on this one. Like, the first time Iris pointed it out, I was like, I didn't see nothing. The second time I couldn't like realistically be like, I didn't see nothing. So because we drove past it the second time. But see, I feel like the stuff in the swamp is less scary. Like, it's more like, I don't know. I always feel like the stuff in the swamp is more friendly. Or like, at least maybe not out to fucking kill you. Shout out to Florida man scaring the highway man scaring the bejesus out of us. Yeah. Is Foxy back? Foxy, I want to answer your question. I guess I could talk about Florida man in the meantime. So, a little bit of mail. Oh, Foxy is back. Excellent. Okay, so to answer your question, I think Iris is right, and Iris and Shu are both right in terms of like that whole shifting scripting concept being more tied to astral like projection and lucid dreaming than anything else. I do think there is something to be said about dreams affecting how we interpret reality, and like we get messages through dreams and things like that. But I do think the whole idea, I think it depends on what you're calling scripting or dream shifting, because there's kind of like multiple camps, right? There's, I can manifest something into existence via my dreams, and if I dream about it often enough, it will happen in reality scripting. And I think that's accurate. I think that's something that absolutely can happen and has happened, right? I mean, you think about the amount of times like you dream about something and then you get deja vu, that kind of a thing. But I think the idea that got popularized, especially on social media, of like, oh, I can shift into this other reality via my dreams, is just lucid dreaming. What comes to mind immediately are the people that were like, I shifted into Harry Potter, like the Harry Potter universe, and I was there for years, and now I'm back, and it's like, I can't adjust. I think that is a combination of lucid dreaming and like spiritual psychosis. And fun fact, that is a thing. You can get spiritual psychosis, just like you can get regular psychosis. Spiritual psychosis is most often incurred when you are so desperately looking for something to use to detach yourself from reality that you then become susceptible to the same types of brainwashing in the spirituality community that is done in cults. Which is also why I say to be careful where to get your information from, because there are a lot of people on the internet that will use the same tactics as cults and like cult brainwashing to essentially feed you insanity and things that are not healthy for you. So a very good example is, again, the dream shifting, but also there are people that are there was one of the like kind of popularized trends that was an instance of spiritual psychosis, is when people think that they're inhabiting, like there is a deity inhabiting them, or that they are in the process of becoming some sort of like high priest or priestess for a deity or historical figure that is not like not common, but like their time of worship has passed. So for instance, the people that are like, I am the priestess of the goddess Medusa. Medusa was never a goddess in Greek and Roman mythology, but also you were not Medusa, like that kind of a thing. Oftentimes it happens on like social media, like I said, and again, it comes about through the usage of those kinds of tactics. So again, be careful. The amount of times I lived a whole ass movie plot in different places and whole lives to think about. Yeah, no, it's very interesting. And again, there is a very big difference between like the astral and lucid dreaming, and like dreams. Those three things are different. Lucid dreaming is when you recognize that you're dreaming and you begin to control your dreams. So for instance, if you're aware of the fact that you're dreaming, and so you're like, oh, I want to manipulate this into, there's a dragon and I have a pet dragon now. That kind of a thing. The astral is another plane of existence in a way. I think of it kind of like limbo or like the waiting room, because it's its own plane, but it is not like what you think of between any other sort of thing. So like using Christianity as an example, there's the idea of like heaven and hell, right? and using just general spirituality, pretty much everyone is under the impression that there's like, if you think that there's a place you go after you die, that's a whole realm in and of itself, right? So it's not this plane, it's not that plane, it's somewhere in between, but it also has its own plane of existence. So it's a little bit of a complicated thing. Yeah, that's where the veil, the whole concept of the veil comes in. The veil is like just the thing that keeps this plane here and that plane there. And the astral is kind of like in the middle of the veil, almost. Yeah. It's a plane of existence, yes, darling. My dreams are usually just reflections of things that happened to me or things from the past that I can manipulate. Yeah, that sounds like lucid dreaming. Which most of mine are like that. Like I said, I don't fuck with the astral. The hat man, Jung Yuno, owes me money. He knows I'm onto him. I'm onto him and his cousin Greg. Anyway, yeah, I don't fuck with the astral. I do end up in the astral periodically, but most of my wards are set up to keep me on this plane of existence because I deal enough with stuff on the other side that I'm like, I don't want my energy over there. He just wants to invite you to the wall sketty potluck. He can keep his wall sketty. I don't want it. I don't want it. And he needs to stop taking my stash of doubloons and peanut butter. At this rate, I'm gonna have to hold Steve the cheese hostage until I get my doubloons back. Alright, my loves, we are approaching the end of stream. Does anyone have any other questions or things they want to share or anything like that? Hopefully, like I said, hopefully this has been like informative, but also kind of fun to like, and like relaxing to just kind of like hear about different stuff, different experiences, and like different perspectives. But I also hope that I have done a good enough job of explaining things in a way that is accessible but also still very respectful. Oh, that is wild shoe. I would immediately delete myself. I'd be like, I'm out of here. Lotus, yes dear. We can hang out after stream if you want. Yes, Foxy, continue to manifest your Delulu. I love it. Delulu is the Salulu, if you will. Iris, spiritual hopes and goals for the year. Ooh, I haven't thought about that too much. Well, I'm well on my way, thanks to streaming and everything, to being better about my practice, because that was one of the reasons why I started these like metaphysical slays, and like doing the tarot readings on stream and stuff like that. In part is to like open up the ability, like open up that kind of side of myself, but also like open it up to if anybody's interested or has any questions or anything like that, that they have a resource that is not gonna try and sell them things. But also I started doing it because I felt like I needed a way to hold myself accountable and to make myself be closer to my practice again. I had to take a break, like for health reasons. I had to kind of stop doing a lot of things. And so this was my way of reincorporating and like doing more tarot in my day-to-day and like manifesting a little bit more in my day-to-day and like just connecting myself to a lot of my studies in this stuff as well. So one of my main goals is definitely to continue to do these. I also think it would be really fun if I was able to do some kind of a like discussion with another witch on this channel. I think that would be really fun. like to almost like a podcast or something like that. I think that would be fun to just kind of talk about our different experiences and things and just learn. I want to be better about using my manifestation journal because I'm bad at that. I also want to get back into doing my own personal tarot because I haven't done that in a really long time on a regular basis. So yeah, I'd say those are my spiritual goals for the year. Yeah, I will say big shout out to Lotus because as you guys probably gathered from the amount of questions he was asking, he doesn't know too much about this stuff, but he has always been extremely receptive to me talking about it, and extremely open to learning, but also very supportive of my own experiences and things like that. And so one, from a partner standpoint, I think that's awesome, and I'm really thankful, but also on a like personal practice note, I think it's very nice to be able to kind of explain stuff and really kind of get back to the basics of my practice in a way. And like, I don't know, I feel like it kind of helps me not take anything for granted, you know? So thank you, darling. I appreciate you. And I appreciate every one of you that shows up for these. I hope you enjoy them. I know they're very different from my normal Chaos Gremlin gaming antics, but I think they're fun, and I hope they're fun for you guys too. So yeah, that is that. I appreciate each and every one of you. Like I said, I know these are a little bit different, but I hope they're fun. And I hope that, I don't know. I just hope they're fun and informative and just a safe space for everybody. Yeah, of course, Shu. And again, like, I am open to talking about this kind of stuff pretty much all the time. So if you have my DM information or you're a part of our Discord, you can always feel free to drop me a question or anything like that. There's a section in my Discord that's specifically for astrology and like tarot and like witchy stuff. But also, like I said, I do these metaphysical slays once a month. So if someone has like a really big question that I think could be really interesting to do on stream, you know, I can always make it into a stream and we can all talk about it together. So yeah. I will be back on Wednesday. We are returning to Stardew. I'm very excited. I kind of had to start a new, oh, thank you for the hydrate, Elba wifey. I kind of had to start a new save file because the old one broke. So I'm trying to get us, I got us to summer. I'm trying to get us back to where we were. I probably won't between now and Wednesday, but that's okay. But yeah, we're going back to Stardew. We're going back to Halloweeny Farms. So that'll be fun. That's always a chance to just kind of like kiki and talk shit. Thank you for the stretch break, Iris. Ooh. Yeah, and then Friday we have Persona. Lotus, I have fear. What are you doing with those? What are you doing with those channel points, babe? Anyway, yeah, shoot, maybe we could figure out what that phone call was about. I have to level up our social link with Sebastian again, so. Oh god, 11K going strong. What else? Friday we have Persona 3, and then Saturday we have a special stream, a special Valentine's Day stream with Grandma Gracie, and that will be fun. We're doing kind of, if you filled out the form, we're doing compatibility, just for funsies, like a 90s, like, are you compatible with your Oshi kind of quiz. Foxy, I am so excited. I saw you submitted. I didn't read any of them. Okay, that's a lie. I read Lotus's. I didn't read anybody else's though. And I think that'll be fun. You're not gonna get screamed at, Elva. Don't worry. No one's gonna get screamed at. We might offer some advice, but no one's getting screamed at. Yes. As Lotus said, it's just for funsies. I am very happily taken. Yeah. Foxy, I'm looking forward to it. I'm so looking forward to these answers. I think it'll be really fun. Yeah. All right, my loves. I will see you guys on a Wednesday. Thank you again. Okay. Oh, yes, darling, I am happy. All right, my loves. I will see you on Wednesday. In the meantime, please, oh fuck, I forgot to turn on my closed captioning. Oh well. Oops. My bad. All right, well, I'm gonna find us somebody to raid. I will see you guys on Wednesday. Thanks again. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Mwah.